I knew something was wrong the moment I pulled into my driveway. My gut tightened before my eyes even registered the damage. The air smelled wrong. Exposed soil, fresh sap, the kind of raw, what scent you only notice when something living has been cut open. My hedges, my 20-year-old privacy hedges, were gone. Not trimmed, not shaped, gone. Stumps like snap bones lined the edge of my yard. I stood there, suitcase still in my hand, feeling the shock crash over me in slow, suffocating waves. Those hedges had outlasted relationships, storms, and 2 recessions. I planted them the year I bought this place, long before the HOA ever had the power to tell me what aesthetically uniform meant. My phone buzzed. A text from Karen, the HOA president. Welcome home. Had to take care of the hedge situation. You're welcome. Welcome. I walked straight to her house. I didn't knock. She opened the door with a smug, rehearsed smile, like she'd been waiting for applause. "Oh, Alex," she said, folding her arms. "You're back early. Look, what's done is done. Those hedges blocked my $1,000,000 view. Now everyone benefits. Everyone." I stared at her. My voice came out low, steady, too calm for the storm claw at my ribs. "You trespassed on my property." She actually laughed. "Don't be dramatic." Something inside me snapped, but not in the way she expected. Not rage, not yelling. Something quieter, colder, a switch turning on, because I knew something she didn't. I own a logistics company, and I know the zoning code better than she knows her laminated HOA handbook. The loophole. Late that night, I sat under the porch light, scrolling through city ordinances until the letters blurred. Privacy hedges? Regulated. Fences? Regulated. Sound dampening barriers? No height limit. No material restriction. Only requirement. Must be on the owner's property. I read it twice, then a third time. I leaned back, the beginnings of a dark, electric idea forming. My yard was about to become a construction site, and Karen was about to learn that what's done is done works both ways. The build. The first crane rolled in at dawn 2 days later. Its engine roared like thunder, rattling windows down the block. Neighbors peeked out from curtains. Karen stormed across the lawn in her robe, hair pinned in angry spikes. "What is that?" she screeched. I didn't look at her. I just pointed to the line of massive shipping containers being hauled down the street. Rusty, dented, ugly in a way that felt poetic. Sound barrier. I said, "Perfectly legal." "You can't, Alex. Don't play stupid. You can't put those there." "I can," I said. "And I am." She tried everything. Yelling at the crane operator. Calling the cops. Calling the fire department. Calling the city inspector. Threatening legal action. But every official she dragged into this mess walked onto my property, flipped through the same zoning packet I already had memorized, and gave her the same answer. He's within his rights. She stood there shaking, humiliated, furious, powerless, as the cranes lowered container after container into a towering 30-foot wall of industrial metal. The sun hit the rust and bounced back in jagged orange streaks right into her living room windows. Her $1,000,000 view turned into the side of a forgotten shipwreck. I'd never seen justice look so beautifully hideous. The fallout. News travels fast in an HOA community, especially when the queen loses her crown. Turns out, cutting down my hedges violated multiple bylaws she herself had enforced on others. Residents were livid. The board held an emergency meeting. I didn't attend, but I heard the yelling from my kitchen. By the end of the week, she was removed as president. By the end of the month, a real estate agent confirmed what everyone suspected. Her property value had dropped over $200,000, all because of a view she couldn't keep her hands off. The aftermath. Sometimes I catch her standing at her window, staring out at that rust-colored metal horizon with a hollow expression. The kind of look people get when they realize they've lost a battle they thought they'd already won. The kind of look that says, "I did this to myself." And honestly, I hope she remembers that every single day. Because I never wanted revenge. I wanted privacy. And now, I have it. In fact, I'm considering having an artist paint a mural on my side of the containers. Something bright, maybe a sunrise. Something she'll never get to see. A reminder that peace comes at a price. And she was the one who wrote the check. You'd think that after building a 30-foot wall of metal in someone's line of sight, the neighborhood would treat me like some kind of suburban war criminal. But the funny thing about HOAs is this. People hate the tyrant more than they hate the rebellion. The week after Karen was dethroned, neighbors I barely knew approached me with a strange mixture of pity and admiration. A guy down the street brought over a six-pack. An older couple slipped a thank-you note under my door. Someone anonymously left homemade cookies on my porch with a sticky note that read, "She had it coming." And honestly, yeah, she did. But I wasn't celebrating. Not yet. The adrenaline had worn off, leaving this hollow place inside me where my hedges used to be. I'd built those things with my own hands. I'd watered them during droughts, shoveled snow off them during winter storms, shaped them every spring until they formed a perfect green barrier that made my yard feel like a world I controlled. And she cut them down like they were nothing. I won the battle, but something still felt unresolved, like her arrogance had scratched a mark somewhere deep under my ribs. The lawsuit. 2 weeks later, an official-looking letter showed up in my mailbox. Thick envelope, embossed seal, the whole dramatic parade. A lawsuit. I laughed when I saw the plaintiff's name. Of course it was Karen. Of course she wasn't done. She claimed the containers caused emotional distress, loss of sunlight, loss of enjoyment, and, my favorite, spiritual harm due to industrial obstruction. Spiritual harm. I sat at my kitchen table reading her complaints, feeling the slow burn begin to coil in my chest. She destroyed my property, humiliated me, mocked me, trespassed, and then sued me because the consequences were ugly. That hollow space in me started turning into something sharper. This wasn't about Hedges anymore. This was about principle. So I lawyered up. I brought in documentation, photos, timestamps, text messages, even drone footage showing her and her landscapers on my land while I was out of town. My attorney looked at everything, leaned back, and said, "Alex, this is one of the cleanest countersuits I've ever seen." And suddenly, that sharp feeling turned into momentum. Courtroom tension. The day of the hearing, Karen arrived in a pastel suit with a smile so fake it looked painful. She probably practiced it in the mirror. She kept darting glances at me like she expected me to fold, apologize, or settle. I didn't. The judge listened to her long, theatrical speech about the sacred importance of natural views and the psychological devastation of rusty metal. Then it was my turn. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't embellish. I didn't need to. I told the truth. How she trespassed. How she waited for me to leave town. How she laughed when I confronted her. How she destroyed 20 years of living growth in a single afternoon. And then I handed the judge the drone footage. Karen's face drained of color so fast, I actually watched it travel downward like melting wax. The judge took one look at the video and closed the folder. "Ms. Harding," he said, "I hope you understand that not only is your claim dismissed, but you are now liable for property damage, legal fees, and punitive costs." Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. For the first time since I'd met her, she had no words. That silence was the sweetest sound I'd heard in years. The cracks began to show. Word spread fast. The lawsuit hadn't just failed. It had backfired. Hard. Neighbors avoided her. Board members whispered about her. Her husband started parking on the opposite end of their driveway, like he wanted physical distance from whatever storm she'd manufactured. One night, as I was carrying groceries inside, I saw her standing on her lawn alone. No phone, no clipboard, no audience, just staring at the shipping containers, arms hanging useless at her sides. For the first time, she didn't look angry. She looked defeated, and I felt something unexpected. Not joy, not satisfaction, not even pity, just closure, the kind that settles deep, like dust finally hitting the ground after weeks of chaos. Because the truth is this: winning isn't loud. Winning isn't triumphant music or fireworks or a fist pump. Winning is when the person who tried to wreck your life finally realizes they can't touch you anymore, that their power was imagined, fragile, hollow. Winning is the quiet afterward, The mural. It was a Saturday when the idea hit me. I just finished mowing the lawn when I looked at the wall, my wall, and remembered every insult, every smirk, every HOA threat she'd ever thrown at me. And I smiled, not cruelly, not spitefully, just with the calm understanding that I had earned my peace. So I called a local artist, someone known for big, bold pieces, the kind that turned blank walls into landmarks. We met in my backyard. He looked at the containers and grinned. "So, what do you want on it?" I thought for a long moment, hands in my pockets, evening breeze brushing my face. "A sunrise," I said. "Not realistic. Something symbolic. A reminder that endings can still lead to something beautiful." He nodded. "And the other side?" he asked. I shrugged. "That's up to her. She'll see whatever consequences she earned." Closing line. The mural starts next week. The neighborhood keeps asking what it'll look like. Karen hasn't said a word. But every morning, when I drink my coffee and stare at the bare metal canvas, I can't help smiling at the simple truth. She took my view. So I rebuild it, and she's the one who can never look away.